Good afternoon, everybody out there in viewer land, and welcome to the Monday edition, the Manic Monday edition of The Rundown. I am your host for today's program. My name is Mike Wachowski, and I do not do this program by myself.
No, you do not. My name is Craig DeLuz, and I'm coming at you from the left coast behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. And it is a pleasure to be here with you on Manic Monday.
Just another Manic Monday. How was your weekend, sir?
Dude, it was phenomenal. It was actually, well, it's kind of hard because we have wildfires here in California, so it's a little hard to be outdoors doing anything because, well, unless you want to choke on smoke. Uh, People wearing
Choke on
masks in
smoke.
Northern California for a very different reason.
Yeah, I think we'll actually get there in our first story, a little bit of choke on smoke story, but we uh, we understand that you guys have it a little rough up there. You know, you got the it's a nice smoky flavor though. I mean, really, when you think about it, everything's got that campfire aroma. You know, that nice, good smoked brisket kind of taste going to it.
Oh yeah, no. If you like eating your air, now is about the time. It's like funny. People always think when they think of California, they always think of earthquakes, and I always say no. Especially nowadays, wildfires. Yeah,
Yeah.
though that is the
Yeah.
natural, not so natural disaster that you happen to have here in California.
That's right. And don't forget the mudslides. Come on, you can't leave the mudslides
Well,
out.
the mudslides come after the wildfires because there's no trees with deep roots and yada yada yada. So that kind of comes after.
That's right. Everything's so dry and barren that when you finally throw a couple drops of rain on it, mudslide. There you
Well,
go.
we'd love to get some rain out here, to be quite honest. Because oh yeah, we're in a drought.
Well, you'll get the rain, but it'll be again once everything is barren and gone because the fires are burnt through, and
Right.
then the water will hit all that dust and cause you a mudslide. So
Well, yeah, and then all the water, instead of going into a reservoir where you store the water for when there isn't much rain, it'll just flow right out to the ocean, and then we'll all have water rationing in California. But then
I,
again,
I, mean,
that's just kind of how we do things here in California.
I thought it went into the crack where the earthquake made the
No,
filled
it,
in the
it
fault
goes
line.
into the ocean. We watch it go bye bye. We wave bye to it.
Gotcha.
Bye,
Bye
water.
bye. Bye bye. Bye bye water. Well, that's good. That's good. I mean, it's at least you guys can defend yourselves with your full realm of firearms you have available to you out there. So that's good. Um, oh, what's that? You don't have a full realm of firearms available to you?
No, we do not.
Listen,
We
how are you going to
we
defend
had
yourself
in order
against a
to purchase a
Sharknado?
new handgun,
Right?
it has to be on a new model handgun. It has to be on the not unsafe handgun roster
Gotcha.
because they couldn't
Gotcha. And
call
that
a
roster.
handgun safe.
And what's that roster include? Wheel guns.
Um,
You know,
Nerf guns.
Nerf guns. Exactly right. Yeah, yeah. That's right. That's right. Bug zappers. You know that kind of stuff.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, yeah, we could pretty much have anything we want in Florida, and that's because of the Sharknadoes. They don't want you to.
Well, and that
They don't want you to become victim to a Sharknado.
I think it's also because you guys believe in Darwinism there, and if someone is not quite bright enough to properly handle a firearm, then perhaps they ought to be removed from the gene pool.
It's true. It's true. In fact, I think I actually sent you a picture. You don't have to show it or anything. It was just a personal picture, but we got the lawn darts here. We got a new kind of lawn darts now. I don't know if you've seen these, Craig. Remember the lawn darts when we were kids had these 8-inch metal spikes on the end of them, right? Well, the new ones have got like these round balls or curved shapes to them. I'm like, and that's how we used to get rid of the dumb kids back in the day, right? We used to play lawn darts. Now they're all walking out there running for office and crap.
I know. See, that's
I
the,
can
see,
look.
that's the worst part about it is that Darwinism has made it so the dumbest among us are actually now like in elective office.
Yeah, yeah. See, this is what you've done. This is what happens when you start putting labels on hair dryers that say "don't use and shower." Okay, you just have to let that stuff happen. You just have to let that happen. All right.
You, Mike, I cannot even begin to tell you how much I've just come to learn that one of the biggest functions of liberalism, quite frankly, is about fighting Darwinism. They believe in it so much
Yeah.
they want to protect stupid people from themselves, and it is worrisome because, like you said, these are the same folks that eventually wind up leading in one way or t'other. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and I actually found it, and I'm going to pull up the photo that you were talking about. Here it is right there. Move it over a little bit. I'll put it over here. Bam, like that. So this is what you were talking about.
Yeah, look at that. They took the big metal spikes off the end of them. Now we get the dopey kids. They follow us
Right.
around all day long. Yep.
Right. The ones that will probably try to eat the lawn dart.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. Yeah.
All right, Mike.
Craig,
I think we've covered enough banter for the
if,
day.
if you well, but one last piece on it. Have you ever watched like a herd of animals, whether it's on a Discovery Channel or even a herd of cattle out where you are? You ever seen the one really dumb cow out in the middle of them all?
No.
Yeah, that's
Yes, I
because the
have.
rest of the
Yes, I
cows
have.
pushed that one into traffic. Okay, they were like, you're slowing us down. We're gonna put you out in traffic. That's how that works.
That's
We're
pretty
gonna let
much
the
how that
lion
works.
eat you. We're gonna let the panther have you. So that's why that's like that. But no, we have to put curves on the lawn darts now to keep that from happening. So, Craig, speaking of California, I saw this story and I thought I have to run this one past Craig. I have to know the real truth out there, because of dumb people, and that's what we have a lot of, evidently, in California. Because one of them's your governor right now. But is there a big denial amongst people in California that this is not going on? That Mussolini is not in any danger whatsoever of losing this recall election?
Well, it's not so much that they're not in danger. People are starting to wake up to the reality that he may very well lose. The point that I think people are in denial about is whether or not he actually deserves to lose. I mean, you have Van
Yeah.
Jones, who wrote this commentary on CNN for CNN, who's like, well, but I like him. And, when you consider that, he's had the pandemic and yeah, he's had a few mishaps. I'm like, dude, you $30 billion, $30 billion with a B dollars was sent fraudulently to a bunch of different people who were scamming our unemployment system. $30 billion, some of which was sent to people who are in prison. And, but that's a minor mishap. We spent tens of millions of dollars on contact tracing, supposedly so that we can find out who's getting COVID, how they're getting it, who's getting sick and yada, 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 and get those demographics so that we can create a safe environment for folks. Once again, totally screwed that up. How do we know? Because when we ask for data, when he says, okay, we're going to keep the schools closed, we're going to shut down all the businesses. When we ask for data on what makes sense, nope. Won't give the data, won't give the data, won't give the data, won't share the data. And then we find out why he won't share the data, because guess what? They screwed it up, right? We've had a number of instances where the courts, not just California courts, but federal courts have told him, yeah, no, Gavin, you can't do that. No, Gavin, you can't do that. He instituted emergency powers, and he still has them to this day, 18 months later, even though we are in no crisis in any. I mean, the whole idea of a crisis was based on medical resources, what was available, hospital beds and ventilators. Well, guess what? In the state of California, we do not have that issue. We have plenty of ventilators in the state of California. We have plenty of hospital beds and plenty of ICU beds in the state of California. The fact is, his administration has been a hot ghetto mess. It's been bad. It's been horrible. On top of the fact, let's see, he's violated the very rules that he's trying to force everybody else to comply with.
Right.
I mean, all of this put together, we were the first state to lock down, and we were the last state to come out of lockdown. And yet our numbers on COVID are no different than Texas. They're no different than Florida, which pretty much stayed open. People are just in utter denial at how bad a job this guy is doing. Because, well, he's not on the news every day like Biden, bumbling and stumbling. He's just behind the scenes, bumbling and stumbling.
It's amazing. I started reading this story, and it's like, all right, well, there's got to be some amount of denial. That's just how liberalism works. But let's take a look at this. And the story says, yeah, listen, he would have been a great governor except for all the little crises that happened around him. You had the wildfires, you had the pandemic come through. He's had the water shortage. Other than that, he was going fine. Everything was going great. But then you throw these crises and issues at him, and that's where people are criticizing him. Hello, that's exactly why you're being criticized, because you handled all the important issues like crap, like garbage. You've screwed them up from day one. And don't tell me you didn't expect wildfires and water shortage issues when you ran for office in California. Maybe the pandemic snuck up on you, but you're not the only one dealing with it, pal.
Yeah, it is once again, true leadership is how you lead in a crisis, right? I mean, and by the way, crises do not make leaders; crises reveal leaders, right? Or character. It doesn't make character; it reveals your character. And what we found out about Gavin Newsom is he can't administer his way out of a paper bag. He couldn't lead his way out of a paper bag, and it's
exactly
quite
right.
frankly time for him to go. I mean, anyone who's literally just said, forget all of y'all. I'm going to do what I want to do and makes mistake after mistake. Nah, time for you to go, bruh.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, he's been not much of anything, and it's good to see you guys have the recall election there, and we'll see how that works out. I do know this, Craig, that it appears as though, I mean, you guys have made one good claim to fame there, and in California under his leadership, you appear to be the second or third largest supplier of illegal guns to Mexico.
Yes, that was a distinction that was in an article that I was reading. So in all fairness, the top three are border states, and so we don't necessarily know that those states are the providers, but at least we know that's where they're coming through. So number one was Texas. With like 41%, because guess what? They have the longest or the biggest stretch of border, shared border with Mexico. Then number two was California with 19%, and then 14% were from Arizona. So I will give it a green with a grain of salt. But keep in mind, in a state with some of the strictest gun laws in the entire nation, needless to say, people are still obtaining firearms and they're sending them to Mexico.
Yeah, and this is exactly what's going on. We see that Mexican has tried to sue the United States, and they're suing up in a Massachusetts court for all of the firearms causing all of the crimes in Mexico. And again, because it's the firearm that causes the crime, not the illegal transportation of the firearm and the illegal acquisition of that firearm to someone who's probably a wanted criminal, but yet it's the firearm's fault, not those other situations. So, yeah, Craig, you've seen what happens when you actually have a working border control point, when you have a fence being built, and when people try to come into this country, whether it be legally or illegally, and those laws being enforced. Well, when it goes the opposite direction and it goes into Mexico, hey, Craig, guess what happens when you go to the border down there on the Rio Grande and you want to run south instead of north? Nobody cares. No, nobody cares. Okay. There's nobody at the border going, excuse me, sir, need to see your visa and your passport. They're like, oh yeah, vato, this way. That's all that's going on down there. There's nothing going on down there to stop it. Even when you go through a border control point, it's literally like directing traffic, and that's it. There's no inspection coming in and out of there.
Well, Mike, it's also our way of fixing the criminal trade imbalance. They send drugs and criminals our way, and we send guns their way. So it's kind of a a back and
money
forth trade.
Yep, exactly right. Yeah, we send guns and money. They send drugs and criminals. What we should start doing is filling those cars with our land, or with our extra trash from the landfills, and we'll just take it down there. And if they're not checking anything, let's just go down there. You get about 10 miles in, drop that stuff out. We'll have a new artificial trash wall built, and then when they're coming over the mountain, the trash mountain, we'll know who they are. Just like that. So
I think what we ought to start doing with the trash is doing like what China is doing, and start building islands off the coast of California and start claiming more of the Pacific Ocean as our land.
You know what? If we build enough of those islands, then we could put a train on them, and then we can have a train that goes to China, and it'll be part of AOC's new Green Deal.
It could be a bullet train.
That's right. That's right. Exactly
we're
right.
building. I mean, we're already building a bullet train to go from Bakersfield to Fresno. So why not to China?
Yeah. And don't forget your bullet train from LA to Vegas, one that'll actually have people on it.
That would actually have. Well, no, we can't have that. We can't actually have people on the bullet train. That doesn't. The bullet train cannot go places people actually want to go.
No, I know we've got the same bullet train maker here, building from Miami to Orlando to Tampa, and they're doing rather well. And I believe they've broken ground on your LA to Las Vegas bullet train. So, well, how is that not even happening yet? How is that not a thing? How was Vegas not said, hey, take today's cash and go build one?
Exactly. Exactly.
I don't get it. You could bullet train people in everywhere. All All right. Talking about idiots, let's move on to Fauci here. This guy Fauci is he got upset because Captain Florida, Governor DeSantis, had a couple of words for him recently. He was being questioned and being asked about uh, mask policies and everything else going on in Florida. And I'm trying to get you the exact quote that our governor said when questioned. Uh, this is the report. He said, when people ask, "What do you do in Florida?" Governor DeSantis said, "I answer very shortly and clearly. Florida chose freedom over Fauciism. I wasn't about to let the state get Fauci'd." Well, um, I guess that happened a couple of weeks back, or a couple of months back. And in Florida, it's about time for Governor DeSantis to announce he's running for reelection for the governor here in Florida. So when the midterms happen on the national level, that's when Florida's governor's election is. So we'll get to have that here at the midterm. So it usually brings good turnout in Florida, by the way, for the midterms. But in addition to that, after he said these things, some people that are on board with Governor DeSantis rerunning for office, seeking reelection, started a website to help get donations and take money for him. And that website has, hold on, Craig. I think you got a couple shots up here of the merchandise available that you can purchase on the governor's reelection campaign site. There you go. Don't Fauci my Florida. Huh? Not bad, right? Don't Fauci my Florida.
But wait, there's more.
There's more. Keep Florida free. That's a direct reference to that as well. Keep Florida free, and the quote on there says, "How can I drink a beer if I have a mask on?" So that was when the governor was at Biketoberfest over in October in Daytona Beach. So back when they said you have to wear masks, and everybody was in close proximity. But anyway, this is more of the same. This is more of Fauci coming down, CDC changing their mind, the National Institute of Infectious Diseases coming down and changing their minds on what's real and what's not. Florida's got another fight on their hands as far as it goes with masks. The governor issued an order. We've talked about it on here a couple times, Craig, over the past 2 months or so, saying that school boards cannot make 100% mask rules. There was a couple of school boards that said they wanted to. They went to court last week, Friday afternoon. The court in Tallahassee, Florida, which is where the capital is, but it was a local circuit court, county court in Leon County. Local elected liberal judge said that Governor DeSantis's executive order was not enforceable, so they're off to appellate court this week. I anticipate by the end of the week that'll get turned back over again because all of the appellate courts in Florida are conservative and observe the rules of law and constitution, not the rules of emotion and legislating from the bench as we get with our liberal judges.
Well, and that's the unfortunate part about our legal system is with some of these things is if you can shop, you can go judge shopping, and you can find someone out of a district court that will support whatever crazy idea it is that you have. And unfortunately, I think that's what they did in this particular case. And they found a district court judge that was, going to give them exactly what they wanted. And now they're going to go to an appellate court, which is going to be a little bit more balanced. And I think what you're going to wind up happening is they're going to say, yeah, no, he kind of has that power because, in many other areas, they have those exact same things. They have those exact same abilities at the state level. And they don't care if they have restrictions, if it's on something that they, if they believe in the restrictions. In this particular case, so I think it's going to wind up being something that's going to wind up getting overturned.
Yeah, absolutely. Further on, Fauci went on when he's talking about the governor here about this getting Fauci nonsense. His response was that, listen, this is why Florida has high numbers of people that are coming up positive with the virus and the high death numbers Florida's been posting. So I do my daily research, Craig, and this always drives me crazy. The latest on the Pfizer vaccine is 39 to 41% effective. So I just want to see these numbers. When you're looking at these columns here, the ones on the left are within the last 7 days. The ones on the right are all time since the beginning of of the COVID. So what you look on the left, that's what I want you to focus on. That top one's Miami-Dade County, the most populous county, and the bottom one there is Orange County, one of the top 4 populated counties, with a couple in between. But Craig, if you'll notice those numbers of deaths reported over the last 7 days, and this is in all 66, 67 counties in Florida, zero deaths reported by the primary cause of death being COVID. Zero. So what you're hearing, folks, across the country, what you're hearing coming out of Florida, what you're hearing coming out of everywhere else, again, we just continue to hear more lies. Are people coming up with COVID positive? Of course they are. It's just, remember, you catch this and spread this the same way you would the flu. Many people don't even know they have it. And the reason that these numbers stay elevated is because of these whiny crybaby people that line up to go get tested every day of the week. You see, there's a testing center open at the convention center, and there's 5,000 people waiting in line. Do you have any symptoms? No. Why are you here? I just want to know. Okay, stay home. That's why those numbers are inflated. But guess what? It's so minuscule. None of them are dying. None of them are died. Zero.
Well, that right there is the exact point. It doesn't matter. Guess what? Here. Let me just, for those of you who do not know, who do not understand this, let me just hip you to something. Everyone's going to get COVID. Everyone's going to get it, right? The question is, how many people are going to get really sick? Who's going to get really sick? And who's going to potentially die? Right? Those are the numbers that are important. The whole point of the vaccine was supposedly, and they said, if you get it, that you're not going to get deathly ill. So what you're seeing is people are going about living their lives because they've been told, well, if I have the vaccine, I'm not going to get deathly ill. The unvaccinated people who are getting it, the overwhelming majority of those people are young, healthy adults who have no comorbidities. So they're once again, they're following the science because according to the science, they have a slim chance of actually getting really sick. But here's the other good part about it for them is that according to the data, according to the information that's out there, if they get it naturally, if they actually get it, then they'll develop a natural immunity, which according to all the data right now says lasts longer than immunity from the vaccine. So I'm like, why are you people why are people losing your minds over this stuff? It's like, look, I'm not saying that COVID is not something serious. I'm not saying that it's something that we shouldn't be aware of and take measures for. But what I'm saying is stop with the mass hysteria. Stop with trying to scare people because, well, you're scared because you don't know how to follow the very science and data you keep telling us to follow.
Yeah, exactly right. Listen, going back to that chart, you don't have to bring it back up, but like it says, the number of people that are infected and then the number of people that have died in the past 7 days is zero. It's a statistical impossibility for you to say, not you, Craig, for the objectors, for the non-believers in science, that this is all unvaccinated people or this is all vaccinated people. When your numbers drop to zero, that's a statistical impossibility to say it's one side and not the other. Mm-hmm. So you have that going for you. In addition, the ICU beds continue to remain lower than normal, much lower than normal because people are still not going to the hospital for regular procedures. Because by the way, when you go get your shoulder surgery, when you go get knee surgery, guess where you spend your first 2 hours until you come out of your anesthesia? In the ICU. Mm-hmm. So those beds are even less open or even more open now because of the less amount of surgeries that are going on. So we have an abundance of ICU beds open. In fact, we got a bunch of more people limping around because they're not getting their knee surgeries done.
But see what happens though, Mike, is you have the media. They print out and they put these anecdotal stories out there about people who who don't want to get the vaccine or who don't want to wear masks, and they find anecdotal evidence of people who have gotten COVID. And there was one I just saw in the newspaper this morning about a guy who organized the no mask or no COVID rally, freedom rallies in Texas. He got COVID and died at the age of 30. And I'm like, here's the thing about statistics, folks. I'm just going to be, if you don't get this, then you don't understand this is going to be a hard conversation to have. Statistics, there are situations that are going to defy the statistics. So when you give me an anecdote, one person, oh, this guy over here who yada yada yada. See, you said that couldn't happen, and then it turns around and happens. Well, you can't govern, you can't make policy based on the exception. You make policy based on the general rule, as long as that general rule has a high enough statistically significant enough percentage to know, okay, generally we know this is going to be the case.
Yeah.
And that's how you make those decisions. And I get tired because the media keeps trying to point at anecdotes, one-offs, instead of focusing on, once again, the science and the data.
Yeah, exactly. And that's all we keep seeing, but nobody wants to believe it. We just saw like I said, 39 to 41% effective on the Pfizer, the Moderna. Now they're pulling 1.5 million to 2 million doses back because there's some sort of metal particles. Listen, it's not like on social media. They're talking about it's making you magnetic and all that crap and trackable by the government. That's not true. Nobody's talking about that at all. I guess there's some kind of flaw in the process there of the refinery. So most of that's gone on in Japan, but it's definitely something they have to work on now and figure out. So
exactly. All right, well, let's move along. I think you want to go ahead and share about this next story, Mike.
Listen, there's this Marine lieutenant colonel, and it sounds like he's a former battalion commander, maybe a current battalion commander, not currently in the theater of operation overseas, and he has had some choice words to say. Very well put together, and it's I've heard it described as a rant, and it's just him like having a conversation with I would think would be either a couple of close friends or maybe his staff members. It's the same kind of conversation. He's not up there preaching. He's not up there screaming. He put out a 2-minute piece of information talking about how he feels and how leadership should be responsible for the failures that's gone on in Afghanistan. And Craig, I think we got the whole thing, don't we? Let's just take a look at it.
But the reason people are so upset on social media right now is not because the Marine on the battlefield let someone down. That service member has always rose to the occasion and done extraordinary things. People are upset because their senior leaders let them down, and none of them are raising their hands and accepting accountability or saying, we messed this up. If an 05 battalion commander has the simplest live fire incident EO complaint, boom, fired. But we have a Secretary of Defense that testified to Congress in May that the Afghan National Security Force could withstand the Taliban advance. We have chairmen of Joint Chief, who the Commandant is a member of that, who's supposed to advise on military policy. We have a Marine combatant commander. All of these people are supposed to advise. And I'm not saying we've got to be in Afghanistan forever, but I am saying, did any of you throw your rank on the table and say, hey, it's a bad idea to evacuate Bagram Airfield, the strategic air base, before we evacuate everyone? Did anyone do that? And when you didn't think to do that, did anyone raise their hand and say, we completely messed this up? I've got battalion commander friends right now that are posting similar things, and they're saying, wondering if all the lives were lost and if it was in vain, all those people that we've lost over the last 20 years. And he goes on to say that we're all part of a chain. While every link may not be tested, the strength of the chain is only as strong as each link, and you got to be, good links, something like that. And what I'll say is, from my position, potentially all those people did die in vain if we don't have senior leaders that own up and raise their hand and say, we did not do this well in the end. Without that, we just keep repeating the same mistakes. This amalgamation of the economic / corporate / political / higher military ranks are not holding up their end of the bargain. I want to say this very strongly. I have been fighting for 17 years. I am willing to throw it all away to say to my senior leaders, I demand accountability.
At first I wanted to say, okay, well, how can we pick a segment out of this that is kind of encapsulates everything? But I thought it was just such a powerful statement. It was important to have the entire thing. And I think he's putting the nail right on the head, because you've got the Biden administration is saying, look, I'm doing exactly what the military commanders said we should do. On top of the fact they're saying, "Oh, it's all going well," and then you've got some who in the military chain of command. Correct me if I'm wrong, but some of them are saying, "Look, we advised against this or against that, and talked about and shared this data and this information, and the decision that was made by the administration." The fact is, nobody in the chain of command is taking responsibility for the debacle that Afghanistanian exit has been.
Yeah, absolutely, Craig. And this guy, you said he didn't go in there calling people out and throwing them under the bus. He just said these are the key leaders, and where's the good answers? What? That's it. He didn't go in there and calling them names and anything else. And by the way, he's been officially relieved of his command position, and he's being welcomed out of the military, out of the Marine Corps. He's got 17 years in. They're going to dump him 3 years early. He's not going to get his retirement check. So,
well, he actually, from what I understand, he's resigning. I don't know if he's being kicked out, forced out, or if he's resigning. I'm sorry.
That's the option they're giving him, Craig. It's either be drummed out or resign. So he's going to resign, which is best for him, because if a Republican takes office in 3 years, he can be reinstated as opposed to being thrown out. So. Let's see. The tactical decision, as somebody who's been to both Kabul International Airport and Bagram Air Base 100 times apiece, Bagram is the military asset, well defended. All the assets were there. We could have funneled everybody in that country, every 2 million people that live in that country. We could have funneled into Bagram much more strategically tactical and safe. Kabul is like your normal every big city airport, where we control a couple of buildings in the corner and the rest of it's wide open. It's ridiculous that we used Kabul International Airport, and the only reason we did is because it's a quarter mile away from the glass palace where the embassy and everything else was. Although the helicopter flight's only like 10 minutes more to get to Bagram, so it's not like a ridiculous deal. But I got to tell you that the current general of Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Milley, is about a tactical moron, and I can say that because I've listened to him talk. I also know he's personally and professionally against the ownership of firearms by members of the military. So I got no love lost for that guy.
Mike, I have yet to hear from anyone who I know that's been over there, or any military professionals who believe that this made any sense, especially when you consider the fact that, let's see, there were 4,000 terrorists who were in prison. There was a prison there. There was a jail there of terrorists who had been taken out of the field of play. ISIS, Al Qaeda, Taliban fighters who were imprisoned there at Bagram, who, by the way, just kind of got left there, right? Yep. And they are now, by the way, on the field of battle, in many cases, with the $85 billion worth of weapons and equipment that we left there. They are now in possession of all of that stuff. And the thing that's a trip about this was he basically got this Marine who basically just said, "Look, I'm not willing. I'm not saying here, I'm just saying own it. I'm just saying own it. Someone has to be accountable. Someone has to take accountability for the mistake that this was. And for some reason, nobody up the chain of command is what seems to be willing to do that. And if something happened on the battlefield, if something happened in the battlefield, you would expect your soldiers to take accountability for what it was that happened and the decisions that they made. And that shouldn't be any different no matter where you are in the chain of command."
I agreed. Craig, we I don't know how else to close it other than just say agree. This should not have happened. We should have the members of their higher ups to take command for this, or take responsibility for this. They're being yes men to the president. The president has no tactical clue of what's going on over there because he's getting yes men giving it to him, and that's it. There's the blood of 13 more American naval, or you got sailors, soldier, and Marines that were killed, and I think the last count was 168 civilians. So it's just on the hands of incompetency once again. And how dare you call it out?
Well, you know what? One of the things I think, and someone brought this up, I heard someone bring this up, and I thought it was actually a valid point. The military commanders may have made the decision based on how many troops they were told that they would have access to in order to be able to defend. And they probably were like, okay, we don't have enough troops to be able to defend Bagram. So they're thinking, well, we're just going to we're just going to have to fortify our small little space there on at Kabul airport. So maybe that makes more sense. And I just think some of it may have just been that the military, that they were given a bad choice, and they made what they believe to be the less bad of a bunch of bad choices based on the policies of the administration. And once again, in the end, though, it all comes back to who's the ultimate. The ultimate is the President of the United States is the one who ought to be held accountable, and he needs to take accountability for it and not try to blame commanders, not try and blame the former president. Or blame Afghan fighters.
It's not the former president. Former president had a different plan completely. But I will say, Craig, that
but that's who Biden was trying. That's one of the people he was trying to blame.
Oh, of course he was. Of course he was. You always blame the guy that was there before you. You know, that's rule number one, and that's rule number one in your job at work where you are now. Always blame the guy that got fired last week. It doesn't matter. So, what the idea that they didn't have enough people to man Bagram is ridiculous, because guess what you do? You say, well, you know what? Instead of having 500 soldiers at Kabul, I'm going to keep 5,000 here at Bagram, and we'll just be on the last 2 hours worth of planes that get out because we control the entire airfield. There's no threat, and it'll take the same amount of time to put 5,000 of us on those 10 planes instead of 500 on the one plane. Yeah, it's simple. You stand up as your commander and you say, these are the numbers we're going to do it with, sir, unless you want the deaths. And if you want the deaths on your hand, go ahead and sign right here. That way, when this blows up, we can say you agreed to it.
Right. You know, Mike, I know we still have one more story, but we're a little over right now. So let's go ahead and save that one for tomorrow and move on to our parting shot. All righty.
Let's go ahead. And I think this is it's actually a timely parting shot considering the top conversation we were just having. So let's.
Hey, that's why I wanted to move on to it.
It got cut off, Craig.
What'd you say?
It got cut off. The bottom sentence is cut off. It says,
there we go.
Hello, Taliban.
There you go. Bam.
There you go. We were trying to reach you about your Humvee's extended warranty.
That's how new some of this equipment was, folks. Like, you guys have all, I know you guys have all gotten the emails or the text messages or the phone calls about the extended warranty. You know, to extend the warranty on the warranty that you never bought. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tried to get you to buy a warranty on your vehicle or your house. Yeah, well, now the Taliban is getting those calls.
That's it. You can get the call. And it's funny because the calls are coming from inside their own house. Oh, boy.
Oh, man. That is phenomenal.
Too much stuff. Stuff.
Oh, Mikey, I don't know where you come up with this stuff sometimes. The internet, the Webernets.
On the old Webernets.
All right.
All right, folks. Well, that's today's edition of the Rundown, the Manic Monday edition of the Rundown. We'll have more for you tomorrow on Taco Tuesday. Make sure you're watching us where, Craig?
Make sure you watch us. You can watch us just about anywhere. We're on 2A News. We're on Arms Room Radio Channel. We're on California Republican Assembly, which is also one of our sponsors. You can find us. Now, if you want to really comment and where we monitor and whatnot, the comments, there's the Rundown YouTube channel, which you'll find at the rundown.us. That's the rundown.us. Or you can find us on Facebook. Just look up 2A News Rundown, and you'll find us there as well. So check us out, comment. Remember, like, share, subscribe, and encourage your friends to do the same.
Like, share, subscribe, and we will see you on Taco Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday.